Yeah, look out for Bo Mel and the Padres. They're in a virtual tie with the Dodgers now. Dave Roberts on the hot seat.
I think he's okay. We got Martín, by the way.
Well, let's see if he's willing to go on a hot take. Right, Mark, you ready to say Dave Roberts is on the hot seat?
I mean, based on, they've built up great records over the years, but I mean, between the failed, World Series attempts and how they're going this year with the Padres catching up, I mean, I think it definitely, I think it's certainly something that's on the minds of people in LA right now.
Yeah, it's actually been brought up, and I think for us, because we're in the division, I mean, a lot of people were shocked by Joe Madden getting released, but then I think us in the division were like, hey, man, you got all this talent. You're spending all this money. You've now lost all these games. He was brought in to not wait to win, to rebuild to win. You've replaced the guy that hired him. I mean, they're built to win now. You're not winning. So, like, when you really think about it, you're like, I'm not so shocked. Like, people shouldn't be so shocked that that some people got to make these decisions to jump ship. I mean, if you're built to win now, what is the future if you're supposed to be doing it today?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about where you're at and where the expectations are. I mean, the Dodgers, you look at them coming in, and basically everybody picking them to win the World Series, and I mean, if they don't win the division, I mean, that's a total disaster based on the expectations. So it'd be interesting to see how the second half goes for them and how they kind of respond. That their pitching staff seems to be in shambles too. So I mean, we'll see what they do at the deadline and stuff. But that's a tough division for sure.
I want your take on this, as it is 1:32 when we are having you on here on A's Cast Live. We have one final today. It is Detroit getting beat up by the White Sox at home 13-0. We had not one, not two, but three position players pitch for the Tigers today. You've got 13 guys on your pitching staff, and you threw three position players. This is just the start of today. Where are you right now? We have more pitchers than ever before, but yet we are by far going to set the record for most position players to pitch in games.
Yeah, that's man, I don't even know about that. That's not good. I mean, obviously, I'm not I don't like seeing pitchers come in. I mean, I understand, sometimes the logic that's behind it. Like, the A's have done it a couple times, and Kotsay's, explained it. But, I mean, you never want to see it. There's enough, like you said, there's enough roster spots to where you shouldn't have to do something like that, right? You should have a pitcher that you can use to eat up the last whatever innings that you need, and then you could send them down and call somebody back up from AAA or something like that. But to use three position players in a game, that's insane. That I never thought I would see something like that in baseball. So, I mean, I think there's obviously, I think it's going to be something that has to be discussed. Probably at the end of the season, because I mean, if it starts getting out of hand like that, I mean, it's a tough product to watch. I mean, the fans that are showing up don't want to see position players come on. I mean, the novelty's worn off on it. At first it was kind of funny, but when you start seeing it so often, it's not even like a notable thing anymore. It's just like whatever came in to pitch, an inning, and it's not the game. I think definitely suffers when it happens that often like that.
All right, I'm not going to give you my opinion. I want to hear yours first. When you start hearing about all the different players used, when you start hearing about all the different debuts, and this is all going to be highs for the A's this year, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, we kind of knew this was going to be the case, right? Coming into the season, rebuilding year, they were going to be, shuffling guys in and out to try to figure out, which guys, are performing well. If a guy from AAA is performing well, you call him up. A guy's not performing up here, it's going down. Like yesterday with Kevin Smith, that was, kind of I wouldn't say surprise. You look at the numbers, the offense has been kind of bad, but defensively he's been pretty good. But I mean, this is kind of what you see with teams that are going through a situation like this. They're trying to figure out, which guys are going to be part of this future or not. And, you're going to see, transactions like this. They're probably going to break a record for major league for rookies used this year. I mean, they've used so many, and you've kind of seen it the last kind of, month or so, 2 months or so, where guys have gone through struggles, prolonged struggles, and now it's getting to the point where they're making these decisions with, okay, we're going to send you down. Guys like Sheldon Noisy and Kevin Smith yesterday, you're struggling to the point where we're going to send you down and try to maybe get that confidence back up and bring you back up later on. But they're trying to come up with the best group of players that give them a chance to win, because obviously it's been bad. I mean, 2 losing streaks of 10 in a row or whatever it was is not good. I mean, it doesn't matter what position, if you're rebuilding or not. I mean, it's tough on the players. You could see it on a daily basis. They're grinding, and it's not fun to go through. So they're trying to come up with ways to kind of just get some wins here and not, fall into that type of slump for prolonged periods of time, multiple times through the season, like they already have, these first 2 months, 3 months of the season.
Yeah, my answer is I love it. We're in a pivot. Let's see as many guys. Some people are trying to look at this as a negative, and I'm like, so what do you want to do? Just have the same crop of guys that are not very good and are never going to win, and they're not the answer now, or not the answer in the future? I say bring as many guys here as you possibly can. I've dubbed this the year of discovery. Let's find out who can play, who cannot play. Let's not kid ourselves. And the keepers, great. Guys who are not, see you later. But I want to see I want my eyes on as many players as possible, because that's the only thing that's going to make us better. So when people start criticizing, like, look how many different guys they've used, you know what? We haven't used enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's land of opportunity, right? I mean, and you never know, guys could, who you don't even expect. I mean, obviously there's top prospects that people want to see, but I mean, there's always, in these situations, guys who kind of come up diamond in the rough types who come up and stick and become major leaguers. And I think that's kind of the intriguing part for me to follow along with the season. That's kind of like the, what I kind of enjoy is seeing these guys kind of try to establish themselves and see if they can stick at the major league level or not. And not necessarily guys who have been touted in the past. Maybe guys who come over from other organizations and are getting a chance here. Guys like, Danny Jimenez and Zach Jackson. These guys weren't top 30 prospects coming in. They were kind of relatively unknown, Rule 5 type guys, and now they've established themselves as big league relievers. They're on the way to establishing themselves. So there's always guys like that who kind of show up during a season. And I mean, you won't get that unless you make these types of moves, over the course of the season. You got to keep on trying out guys. And if they don't perform well, you call up new guys who are performing well in the minors and give them a shot and see if they can stick. It's just, you're not going to stick with the same guys and just keep losing all the time. That's not a, very good formula there. It doesn't help anybody. The players who are struggling, their confidence is just going to keep going further and further down as they struggle at this level. So it's good to kind of keep on, bringing in fresh energy and see if that's maybe the right mix that's going to help them maybe get on a little bit of a hot streak here.
I hate to bring up stocks, and if anybody follows the stock market, you know what I'm talking about, and your 401ks. Good luck to everybody out there. But if Christian Bethancourt was a stock, wouldn't be expensive, and at his age, the expectations, the growth that you may see, but what you've seen lately, would you gamble and would you buy Christian Bethancourt as a stock?
I mean, he's looked real good. Just swinging the bat. He's looked good the whole season. It's just now that he's driving the ball a little bit more, it looks obviously a whole lot better. He's elevating the ball a lot more, and he's crushing balls all over the field to the gaps. It's going on 2 weeks, going on almost 3 weeks now that he's doing this. So it seems like he's found something, and I think you definitely obviously have to play him every day and see where it leads to. But yeah, his stock is definitely rising right now, I think, for sure. And I mean, he's like in the middle of the lineup now every day. So certainly when you find this type of situation where a guy who kind of comes out of nowhere, you kind of got to keep riding him until he proves otherwise, that it was kind of a fluke or whatever. But right now, I mean, there's no reason not to be excited about this. I mean, he's kind of definitely been one of the only few bright spots here in the last couple of weeks. So any encouraging signs that you see from a team, you got to kind of squeeze as much out as you can out of them.
Well, and then I say let him start pitching, and we have our own Shohei Ohtani.
Why not? Why not? You could be a setup man or something, I'm sure. He was throwing 95 the other day, so
why not?
There's really nothing he can do. You might as well give him a shot, right?
This is not easy to talk about because you're dealing with someone's career, someone who's had a terrific career, and you have a lot of respect for him as a professional. But what are they going to do with Elvis? I mean, obviously you can't let him get to the what is it, Cody? 550 at bats to get the plate appearances to get the to get next year's option vested. How do you handle Elvis, a guy that wants to play every day, that you can't let him get to those plate appearances?
Yeah, it's an interesting situation for sure. I mean, I think there was a point where he was kind of, coming around with the bat. His bat, I think, hasn't been, that bad, but I mean, he was swinging it a lot better, not too long ago. And there was a point where we thought maybe he could swing it good enough to maybe get traded somewhere. And then, the A's would obviously have to eat up a lot of that money on the contract, but maybe he would play himself onto, a contending team. Now, it's kind of been up and down recently. But I mean, just knowing the type of guy that he is, I feel like, the A's get to the second half, obviously, being, not in contention, wanting to give a guy like Nick Allen or someone there some playing time at shortstop. I think he strikes me as a guy who would, understand, the situation that he's in right now. I mean, he understands where the A's are at right now. Of course, he wouldn't like it. I mean, he's used to playing every day. He doesn't like not playing every day. But I don't think he'd be a guy who would, make a, a scene out of it. I think, this is the direction the A's are going. We want to play, whoever it is at shortstop every day with Nick Allen or someone else. And, we'll still play you, here and there and keep you around, to kind of help out Nick. But, he's got to be the guy going forward. I think that's probably the situation where it's heading, because you want to see a guy like Nick Allen play every day. And he basically has proven in the minor league level that he can, he's ready to get his shot, and with a guy like that, he's got to play consistently every day. He hasn't gotten that chance yet, even when he's come up, because Elvis has been there. But at some point, you got to kind of, hand over the reins to the next generation. And it's good to have a guy like Elvis around, kind of in that clubhouse. He's very good with the young guys and kind of, helping them out with whatever they need. But, like you mentioned, the 550 plate appearances, I've done the math on it, and based on where he hits in the lineup, it's pretty close. But if he played every day, it would still be difficult to hit that mark. But it is possible. But I think as you get to, past the deadline and into August and stuff, you start to see a guy like Nick Allen and others come up and play every day. That's how I think this situation will end up going down.
Yeah, that's always tough, but it is the business of baseball. But we love stories, and that's what makes baseball so unique and so much fun. How much fun can we have with the Jonah Bride? Here comes the bride. How much fun can we have with this story?
Well, I mean, it's definitely, it's a cool story, right? I mean, he, barely, was it 23rd round pick or something, senior, at a college, which is rare. And to be able to get this far in his career and kind of a late bloomer, and even learned catching last year, that story in its own is crazy, that he learned catcher and is even, catching. The A's are comfortable enough to have him catching games throughout the minor leagues. And he seems to be, from what I've heard, pretty good behind the plate as well. I don't know how much we'll see of him behind the plate with the A's, but I mean, definitely a versatile guy. And I mean, I think that's what this season is all about, is seeing these, the guys who we've heard about for a while now, the guys on the prospect list come up and get a chance to play, every day consistently, and see if they can stick or not. I think to me, if I'm an A's fan, that's kind of what I'm looking to and what I'm enjoying the most, is seeing young guys come up and, see what they can do. Because I mean, it's kind of, that's all you can do at this point. I mean, it's not a year where you're going to contend for a playoff spot. It's not a year where you really are looking at, veteran guys, to put up big numbers or anything like that. It's about the future and seeing, if you can get some glimpse of a future. And I think, as the season goes on, you hope to see even more prospects come up, guys like Shea Langoliers, these other guys who are at AAA, who just got called up to AAA, who are really close, seeing how they develop and see if they get a chance to do something here in the big league and see if they can be a part of this future. That's kind of the thing, I'll be looking at, is just, can they identify who moves forward with this team and who kind of isn't part of the future. That's kind of, I think, what the A's are doing, at this point this season.
Well, you guys talk to him every day, and you're getting to evaluate him. How do you feel Mark Kotsay is doing so far in his first year? Obviously, very tough circumstances.
Yeah, I think his sounds great. I mean, I think, I wrote about it the other day in Cleveland. The 10-game losing streak that were going on, that was the A's second, 10-game losing streak of the year already. And I don't care what the situation you go into, whether you're a rebuilding team or a contending team. If you hit those types of lows in your first season, I got to imagine it's difficult to handle, especially a guy like Kotsay, who his playing career was known as this everyday intense guy, wants to win, competitor. And so to be going through a season like this, it's got to grind on him. But he hasn't really shown it. He hasn't really shown any signs of frustration. He's kind of stuck to the same, message every day to the ball club of just, going out every day, working hard every day, showing up, putting in extra work every day. He hasn't kind of gone away from that. And he's had a lot of other managers to lean on. He always talks to us about, how he talks to, Francona, Dave Roberts, Craig Counsell, all these guys who, he's built close relationships with over the years. And I think he kind of leans on that too a little bit when he goes through stretches like that. He's able to, place a phone call to them and just kind of talk about how it is to manage through, a rough season like this. And like I said, it's not easy. It can't be easy for him to go through this. I'm sure there's times where he's just so frustrated, why are we losing this many games, but he hasn't shown that, hasn't shown that to us. I don't think he's shown it to the players. I think he's done a really good job of kind of just navigating through, what is a 6-month grind. It's going to be a 6-month grind. They're going to lose a lot of games. They're going to lose more games than they win. And, he's going to have to, keep on trying to keep, the morale high in the clubhouse, keeping, guys' spirits up. And I think he's done a really good job of that. And I think the players kind of, really respect him for that, especially the veteran guys. When we talk to him about the job he's done, they're always, very complimentary of what he's been able to do. So, he's handling it as well as he could. It's a tough situation for anybody, but he's handling it as well as he could.
Let's end on this. I bring this up usually only in the post-game show, because in the post-game shows when people really want to evaluate players and evaluate the games. And I always have to bring it up that I know there's a narrative from people who aren't around this every day, who they look at the A's and they think rebuilding and they think young. And that's when I got to bring everybody back and go, if you look at the ages on this roster, the majority of guys are 30 plus, if not 28 plus. And now that you sent down Kevin Smith, who was 25, replace that with Bride, who's 26. Still, you got Bride, you got Pache, everybody else. Murph's one of the lone 27. I mean, a lot of guys in their 30s, late 30s, mid 30s, 28 up. At some point, the front office has to say, we can't be rolling a whole season with one of the older rosters in baseball and be in a pivot year.
Yeah, that's what makes this stretch of the season so tough. I think for fans is you see these guys. These guys are obviously big leaguers and they're professionals and they've gained the respect of everybody. But they're not. A lot of these guys who are on this team are not a part of this future. It's just it's fact. These guys are going to be gone, pretty soon. So we're in a point where I think everybody wants to see who is going to be part of that next generation. A lot of those guys just aren't ready for the big leagues yet. I know we will see some guys in the second half. You get to August and all that. We will see the Nick Allens of the world come up. Probably Shea Langeliers. I'm sure we'll see him at some point. But a lot of their highly I guess touted prospects, you would say, are not ready yet, and that's the frustrating part I think for fans going through this season. Is it kind of feels like where's the hope? What do we have to look forward to right now when you look at this specific roster right now? There's not any guys on there that you kind of think these guys are going to be around. A lot of these guys probably leave in free agency or could get traded soon. So I think once we start to see a little bit more of the youth movement come up, that's when it kind of gets a little more intriguing for fans. And I would think that's going to happen at some point. At some point you get to the season, this year, and you're like, we got to see what we have with some of these guys. Are they going to stick or not? They're going to get to that point. I don't think you get through a whole year, playing, Stephen Vogt and guys every day. I think you keep those guys around, as valuable clubhouse resources. But you get to a certain point in the season, I think you got to start playing the young guys, on the pitching side, on the hitting side, and seeing what you have with them, and then seeing, going forward, can you provide a little bit, of a feel-good moment going into 2022 when 2023, excuse me, when you have even more of your prospects progressing through the system and could get even more of an influx of that young talent at the big league level.
Hey, by the way, I love the email with all your work in it. I think that is fantastic that you put that stuff out every single week.
No, thanks. I got another one dropping tomorrow. It's a pretty good one. Got catching up with Jerry Blevins on it. He was in Cleveland over the weekend. I know A's fans love him, so that's going to be a real good one. I'm looking forward to seeing fans' reaction for that. But yeah, it's fun just to kind of provide the fans with something else, kind of behind the scenes thing. Not really. There is some baseball stuff in it, but I like to kind of bring the personalities out a little bit. So it's been fun to do.
Tell fans how they can sign up for that.
Yeah, so I'll tweet out the link if you just follow me on Twitter at Martín J Gallegos. I always tweet out a link to how to sign up for it every week when a new one drops. You just click on that link, and at the bottom there's a sign up sheet. So if you enjoy A's content, seeing kind of behind the scenes look at this team, I think I'm just trying to bring entertainment for the fans. Whatever they want to hear. I'm even open to suggestions. If you guys want me to do something, a special section, I'm all ears. So anybody who wants to subscribe, it's free. So go ahead and just click the link when I tweet it out.
And a little tip, it may end up in spam. Just get it out of spam, and then it won't ever and say it's not spam, and then you'll never have that problem again.
Yeah. Good to remind people of that, Tony.
All right, buddy. Be well. We'll see you coming up here, Friday for the homestand?
Yep. I'll be there against the Royals. We'll be back at the Coliseum. It's good to be back home.
Good stuff. See ya.
All right, see you, Tony. Thanks.
Martín Gallegos from MLB.com does a great job covering your Oakland Athletics, and you only get so much coverage. The main coverage you're going to get is basically with him and us when you really look at it.